Hey guys, Jason with Long Bottom Farm. Welcome back. Today we're going to do a video on overwhelm. And this is something, if you're homesteading or you're farming, you're probably going to experience at some point. It's transitioning now from winter to spring, and that's always the time that, you've got so many things you want to get done. It's getting warmer outside, it's getting ready time to get planting started. When you're running livestock, we're bringing in pigs and meat birds, so we're getting prepared for that. And it's an exciting time, but it's also a stressful time. It's one of those times where coming into fall last year, you think, okay, I just got done with meat birds, pigs, we're down to chickens, cattle, we're not doing gardening, things are chill. And that's usually the time to get projects done, or at least for us, the fall. It's cooler, it's just much better to work, doing fencing and building things. It just works a whole lot better when it's cooler and you're not dealing with the humidity like we deal with here in Virginia. But today has been one of those days where we've got pigs coming. We're probably still a month or two out, but we're trying to get the area ready, and we wanted to put them in a new area. And the areas that we're looking at, I just don't know that they're going to work. They're scrubby areas of the farm. They're areas that really haven't been touched in I don't know how many years. They don't even have fencing. Like I say, they're areas we would have to fence. They're very hilly, very terrainy, which we thought would be a good area for pigs. They like to run around in the woods, and we don't really have enough room to actually rotate our pigs to a number of different paddocks. The paddock we got set up, we can divide, but we want to give that a rest. When we started that paddock, we've just grown since then, and we need more room to run pigs. So we're going to look at this week, possibly. I'm going to check with a few of my neighbors to see about maybe leasing. They have a lot of wooded areas that they're not using, and with hog panels or corral panels, again, it's a lot, but I have a lot of them here, and they're portable. And say a lease or something, you don't have it, they're fairly simple to reload up and take back with you. They hold their value, so if I need to sell them, they're a nice little addition. You can put them in with T-post, and I know with pigs you can run them on one strand. I see people do that, but I'm one that likes to sleep well at night. I don't like to worry about my animals getting out, and so I tend to way overdo things, and that's one of them. So we tend to, with our pigs, run a either hog panel or cattle panel, and then we run a hot wire on the inside of that. Also, too, it keeps other things out. We've never had any problems, but again, you know, you can run cattle on, one strand all the way around too, but the chances are they'll get out at some point. And again, I like to sleep at night. I like to go to bed knowing my animals are tucked away. I'm not going to get a call from the neighbor, and, to each his own. But so we're dealing with that a little bit now. For our chickens, we've been using the Siskovich tractors, which I love, but we'd like to scale those up a bit as well, and just moving a number of them around. I don't mind it too much, but there are days when I need my wife to help, or it's just me and her that run the farm. We don't have help, and it can just be difficult, and especially when we get on hills or the grass gets up a little high. And so, this year we had planned on building like our shade structures, if you've seen those, a sled, kind of like a greenhouse on a sled, essentially, a mobile range coop, as they're called in overseas. And that way we could put all the chickens in one, move them also with a tractor, so we're using mechanical labor rather than breaking our backs. And but just haven't gotten to that either. And the question is, do you postpone, try to get that together and done, or just go the way we've been doing it? And I think that's probably where we're at. We're gonna be in the chicken tractors again, which I love those chicken tractors. Don't get me wrong. Again, just trying to scale up, and not really trying to scale up. We have the demand. We're selling out left and right. So we need to raise more. And once you start getting up in any enterprise that you do, gardening, livestock, there becomes a point where the systems you have in place weren't maybe ready for what you're growing into. And so we're working on that. Right now, I am working on cleaning up this junk area that is down at our pole barn. We're trying to get this area set up that we can actually get gravel and stuff in here, and park more of our vehicles, and it just needs some love. I'm a big believer in, we like to have people out to the farm, and I like my farm to look nice. I feel like we're selling a product that is premium. You don't find it in the grocery stores, and I feel like with that premium product, I don't know. I just hate when people come to the farm and it's a mess and tarps are flying around everywhere, and I know it's part of the farm. You can't do everything, but still, I like to, just with that premium product, give a pretty view to go with it. I'm really proud of our farm, and I feel like keeping things clean is a way of showing that proudness. And it's just taking care of stuff. You know, I've got some things that are actually ruined, some tarps and some different things because I left them out here, and the wind and the weather and all that kind of got a hold of them. Now they are no good. So, right, that's what we're doing today, work on cleaning that up. And a big part of this video was I wanted to talk to you guys about just getting overwhelmed. You know, we're 7 years into this now, and we started from nothing. I have no background in farming whatsoever. First generation, didn't even really knew I wanted to farm until I was in my 30s. And, we had kids, went down some rabbit holes of regenerative farming, what our kids were eating. And that led to us wanting to grow. And then, before you know it, we've bought a farm and raising cattle and pigs and chickens. And I think that's how everybody starts out. You know, you go down a few rabbit holes and you find something that really interests you. You know, I think farming, you just take bare land and some seeds or, a pair of livestock. And before you know it, those things multiply. And it's just I don't know. I find it fascinating. You know, it's almost like you're creating something from nothing. I mean, I know you're not, but and then also just the creative side of it. I work in healthcare, and I think I've mentioned that in a few videos. Practically part time at this point, and we're doing the farm full time. But in healthcare, you don't get creative. It's the last thing you want to do in healthcare is get creative, or you get sued. You have guidelines, you have studies, and you have academies and boards that have came up with what's the best way to do things, and so the farming for me is a creative outlet. It allows me to get that creativity out. It allows me to, I guess it's kind of like what engineers, what draws them to engineering is just tinkering and making things work. And that satisfaction that when you come up with an idea, you solve a problem, and not even solve a problem, but take something that isn't a problem and make it better. Farming is full of that, and it's just one of the things I love about it. So I imagine a lot of you got into farming for the same reasons. You get that creative juices flowing, you get to do those projects, and it's just fun to get out, work with your hands, and just be outside building things, doing things, and especially things that you can then turn possibly into a business that makes it where you can get paid to do those things. So, but again, back to overwhelm. The things I was talking to you about has also been complicated by we've all been sick this last week, and having 3 kids. It seems to be every couple weeks this happens. So it's I think just part of the being a parent and having kids. But that also complicates things. And, when you're not feeling well and you got 10 things you got to do, even just basic chores, you have chores in the morning. For us, it's feeding hay to cattle at this point, checking their water system, just making sure everything's good there. And then we have our layer birds. We still have about 200 layers. So getting eggs every morning, and there's washing eggs. And then for our layers too, we sometimes put out hay. You got to check their grit, their calcium. You have to feed them every day, at least the feeders in the system we have. We feed every day out of 5-gallon buckets. And we did a video on how we raise our layers. You can see it up here, and I do this backwards every time. So hopefully I've got it right. If so, you'll see the video spin real quick for a minute. But we did a video on egg layers, and you can see that there. And it goes into pretty much beginning to end on how our farm raises layers for eggs for profit. But anyways, that's part of the chores. And then we have the horses. You can kind of see the barn. My head's in the way. The barn's here behind me, and horses are back on the other side there. So we have their chores in the morning, which is, again, making sure they have hay, cleaning out their stalls, making sure their water is good. Sometimes when it's cold with the horses, we'll give them a little grain. And that's kind of morning chores. But again, if you're feeling sick and it hits you, it's mornings where it's good to have a support system. Lexi and I work great. That's my wife. And tag teaming that stuff. So definitely helps to have a support person. Even if you don't feel like you need them, you're going to get sick and you're going to need them at some point. So have a support person on backup. But anyways, I kind of just wanted to make this video because I'm feeling a little overwhelmed at the moment. And sometimes it's good to get this stuff out. And I feel like if I'm feeling like this, there's probably some of you that are feeling like this as well. And just, it's normal. We've done this every year, and it's part of it. If it was comfortable all the time, it would be boring. Overwhelm is what causes you to prioritize on what you need to prioritize on. It helps you to focus on what's most important, and sometimes it's actually a good thing. There's been many times where, this happens to us every year, where I've gotten overwhelmed. I'm like, oh, I can't do this, can't do that, and then I don't get to it, but then I realize, 6 months down the road, like, God, I'm so glad that didn't happen, because then it would have been a lot of work that I would have done that realized it was wrong, or it wouldn't have worked for the system, and how it's evolved, or we just changed our mind. It's kind of like fencing. I always tell beginning farmers, or if you're looking at land, like wait a bit before you put any permanent fencing. There's a good chance you're going to realize after you've been there for a while that you want to do something differently, or you want this somewhere else. And if you just automatically go and put in, I think perimeter fencing's fine, fence your perimeter. But if you're doing like cross fencing and stuff like that, you might want to wait a little bit, just think about, just give some time to run the system and see if what you were planning to do is actually what you want to do. Because I can't tell you how many times I've had to move a cross fence, or even I've got places on my farm I've put fencing and it didn't even need it, because we're not running animals there anymore, or it was just very ill-informed, inexperienced decision that I'm sure a lot of us make. So I feel like I make more than some sometimes. I feel like I make more than some people sometimes. But just know it's part of it, and don't let it get you down too much. Just think, what needs to be done, what's going to propel your farm forward, and focus on that, and be okay with the things that you can't get done, and just know you'll get them done at some point. So, all right. Hope y'all enjoyed the video. Hope if in any way that was helpful. A little bit of, like I say, just blowing off a little steam and letting you guys know that I'm overwhelmed, and if you're feeling it, you're not alone. So thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. All right. Bye.